Good morning, everybody. Orin J here with another War of the Visions video, and today we're going to talk all about A2 and A2's new vision card. A2, very hyped unit coming into our game, partly because she's a NIER unit and everybody likes this collaboration, or not everybody, but there's a lot of fans of this collaboration, but partly because at least on paper, she looks really strong. So where does she fit into the meta? Is her vision card important if you want to play her, or if you want to play other greatsword based teams? We're going to look at all that stuff right now, but let's start by looking at the unit herself. So this is A2. She is new job. You're a type A number 2. That makes a lot of sense considering who she is. Then her TMR is kind of interesting. It does have 2 agility on it, which, okay, I like it, TMRs that have agility, especially ones that have an odd number like 2. When you're trying to tune that like last few agility points for your team, oftentimes you can't just slap a 5 agility TMR on somebody. It might make them faster or not too much faster than the unit you're trying to catch them up to. 2 could be a nice number to play with. The buff is PvE interesting, where you get move, jump, and machine killer, but I don't think it has a ton of use for PvP. Her master ability is the group buff, HP and ice attack for her ice allies. Then she gets the first bit of slash attack resist penetration for her kit. The things we're going to be looking for when we go through this: she needs defense pin, she needs slash attack pin, and she needs AoE resist, single target resist, and then a good agility score. We'll look at all of that here in a minute, but she begins that journey of her slash attack penetration right here with 20. She gets acquired AP 30, that's fine. Her dream ability is pierce and magic resistance 15. She is particularly going to be resistant to those 2 damage types. Now, how much does a damage type resist really mean? At the top end, not a ton, because there's so much, of this type of attack-based penetration, but it's still another thing. Like if say you're fighting magic teams, if you can stack magic resist, that is still one more box you force the opponent to check if they want to damage you. So there you go. She is building that up. Then single target resist 15, another one of those big stats. She gets 15 single target resist right there, as well as an upgraded skill. If you were going to compare her to some other great sword units in terms of like her attack, her speed, her HP, all those things, I've put new Asterius on the screen as a newer DPS great sword 100 cost unit. We got an older version of that with Ruinstern and a great sword tank in June. One thing about great swords that is going to make team building with it kind of awkward is you don't have supports, right? Most of these other jobs have some kind of supporty unit you can mix in. With great swords, your team support, like your sustain, is a tank. Like you bring a tank in, hope they can pull aggro away while the other 2 just like pound on them, and you're a tank. Your tank brings in enough damage to be relevant. So here's kind of the representation of that. Now, when it comes to stats, her HP is at 4374 base. Now, of course, you could bump that up with vision cards, Esper's gear, all that, but it is lower than the rest of them. Like Asterius is almost 5k. Ruinstern, who's an older unit, has more, and then Joom the tank has a lot more, which obviously makes sense. Now, she makes up for it in other ways. Her attack at 551 is nice. It's higher than any of the 3 that I'm showing you on the board. It's not the highest of all of them, but it is still pretty dang high. And then her agility at 68 is faster than the 2 DPS units by 1, and then faster than the tank by 5. So that's really nice. Another feather in her hat is she has jump 2. All the rest of these units just have jump 1, and there's a lot of maps where having that extra jump can really pay off. Her resist, like we were talking about, pierce resist and magic resist, with her master ability giving you more of those, that's definitely her best 2, but she's no slouch against slashing, and her 2 weaknesses aren't that weak. And then once again, that unit attack resist, bringing that in is nice. That's 5 more than the tank, and as much as Asterius, the new Asterius has. She's also bringing that slash attack resist penetration, which you can see all of these units have. Joom has 40. They don't sleep on Joom's damage if you're working her in and giving her a sword or something like that. Like, she can bring a little bit of DPS to your team while also bring tanky. These could be some of the potential teammates you look to pair A2 up with if that's the route you choose to go with her. Now, her skills, her support abilities, this is where that 100 cost really starts to shine through. Here's 40 more slash attack resist penetration. That puts her at 60 if you combine this 20 and this 40. That's all she gets. So when you're thinking about building her out, like with gear or with vision cards, more slash attack resist penetration could be nice for her. I really like to see that 80 mark. If you don't want to have to worry about it anymore, she's at 60. I do think you worry about it a little bit more. Just make sure she can do damage. But this is still a great support ability. This is just a great support ability. It's not and still. There's no qualifier needed. This thing's nuts. It also gives 25 accuracy, 24% attack, and AP consumption down 25. So a whole lot of greatness right there. Then we get to defense penetration. This, in my opinion, is a weakness of hers because Dragonbane's Knight's Knowledge can give you 24% more attack and your first 40 defense pin. She has a little bit more access in her kit by doing a move, but this is the first bit of it that you see, and you must defense penetration. Like, you have to do it, which I think forces you into Dragonbane Knight's Knowledge. Now, if you can find a way to get around that by like using her skill or gear, as you know, some other way of making that work, you could look at these other ones because they're really good. Here's more slash and pierce resist with 12 AoE resist from enhanced resistance. I like this one a lot. I just think, well, you're a damage unit, you better have defense penetration, so it'd be hard to run this over this unless you took care of that already. Wind Spirit's Blessing, you're probably not going to run that one. And then Dragonbane Knight Concentration. This is an agility tuning one that also gives strike resistance. So this feels more PvE if you want to agility tune, or if you just must have more agility, you could run this. I think most people will run these top two together for those double penetrations, or again, if you can figure out the defense pin, AoE resist and more resist will make you harder to kill. Just avoid A2 counter moves. You're going to run this one. She has reflex. It's physical and it's magical. It's only a 15% chance, but literally, how do you not take damage? You just avoid A2. Just avoid it. Just dodge that thing. No big deal. So just run that one all the time. Okay, her main job, kill the machine. This will drop critical evasion on the target, deal a little bit of damage, short range, but 6 uses and it's cheap. Every unit in the game has one of these type of moves. Her TP moves, this is where she's going to start separating a little bit. These are really nice. So barrier deployment, this is her own self buff. It gives a physical damage barrier 50% for 3 times. So right away you're thinking, very good against physical units, but there's more here. She reduces physical damage taken by up to 35% based on the attack size of the target. She also reduces magic damage in the same way. So this is good. This is like, it's like, think about like how Squall has his honeycomb barrier that reduces damage. She has a similar effect here, and it's against physical and magic. So this will make her very, very hard to kill, or at least harder to kill. We'll see how exactly hard to kill she is. Then her group buff is really good as well. It's an agility buff for her and her allies. It also grants Dispel Haste for self. It grants another effect for self, gives her auto revive, and when she auto revives, she will cast this buff on herself right here. Increased speed and accuracy. She'll get 25% agility and 40 accuracy for 3 turns. Really potent spell. You're going to want to get both of these casts to start a fight. So TMR buff for her, not necessarily as important. Feel free to just tune stats with TMRs. She has 2 very good buffs to use without even have to worry about them. Now, downtime repair, which changes to downtime repair changed with an upgrade, is one of her most important moves because it's the other 40 defense pin. In theory, she can take care of defense pin herself. You use that support ability, you use this attack, you're at 80, check the box. However, that's reliant on equipping a support ability, which I think most people will, and getting this move off. I'll talk about why that's conditional here in a moment, but this dispels ignore fatal damage for targets, which A+ there, gives her the defense pin, 165% modifier, and has a follow-up attack, which heals herself and an ally at this range. So this is like her bread and butter DPS move. You're going to want to use it all the time. Just will the AI use it? Well, most of the time. The AI will use it to dispel courage. Okay, that's great. It will do more damage than other moves a lot of the time because of the defense pin, but not all the time because she has this move here that decreases AoE resist by up to 60 for 3 targets. Shorter or smaller AoE but same range, has the boosted hit effect rate, and does the same modifier in damage. So there's a chance that she won't use this move because knocking AoE resist down will do more damage than dropping defense pin. Now, the Dispel Courage is a big deal here because that will be another reason to incentivize the unit to use that. But This one is a big deal, plus with that hit chance up, and it absorbs damage and reduces counter chance with the upgrade, as well as having a bigger AoE on it, which increases the range. So it's going to be those two moves, right? She does have a 2-hitter with a weird range on it that dispels Protect and Shell and does a bigger modifier. There's also a chance the AI could use that because of the Protect and Shell dispel. That's hard to say. And the bigger modifier damage. So she's going to choose between these 3 damage moves. They're all really good. I just don't like how her defense penetration is like attached to one of these moves that the AI just might not choose to use. I think there's potential hiccups there to hold her back in damage a little bit, but more on that, you know, we'll see. We'll see how that works out. She has a very interesting new support job. She has Berserk mode, which is a 10% HP hit to herself, but a 70% attack steroid and CT up when she crits. I really like that buff, but I think her other 2 buffs are better. Then Self-Destruct. It consumes 60% of her own HP, but does 205% typeless, elementless damage, physical damage, in this small of an AoE around herself, and increases modifier by 80% if there's 5 dead units, 50% chance to stun. So damage goes up based on dead units, and a chance to stun targets. This could be really powerful. This could be a big hitter. Now, she's going to crush herself for 60% of her HP, but a lot of damage right there. It could be really hype, really fun thing to see. She has Dragon Bane Knight. This will give her access to another attack steroid with defense and protect if you really want to go anti-physical, but most importantly, this gives her access to piercing type damage moves. Spellblade scales off of magic. You're probably not going to run that unless you're really going for a magic resist build or magic shield, which there is an argument to be made here of stacking this magic shield with this physical shield for just all of the shielding. I don't know, that's a thing. Then her limit break. Now, her limit break interesting. 200% modifier. It's a cross shape with the range, with the 2 side, range 2 on all sides of the crosses. It sucks everything in towards the center of the cross, has a good chance of slowing and immobilizing the targets, and then decreases their slash attack if they are slowed or immobilized. So I think you'll see that move a lot. Overall, I hope you can see this is a very powerful kit. Her stats look good. It's just going to be making it work. Something else that's really going to help her out is her weapon, the Type 40 chopping machine knife. We had kind of talked about slash attack resist penetration, how she was at 60 and kind of that magic number is 80. One way you can help overcome that is with her piece of gear here, the Type 40 chopping machine knife. It has 20 slash attack pin on it. It's like it was built just to overcome that certain gap. Now that's generic, that's for everybody. It also has slash attack 15, AP consumption down, and reduced physical damage the larger the area attack size 50% for herself. More anti-physical built in right here with this, more barrier, kind of honeycomb barrier-esque thing reduction. This also has 196 attack and is a pretty solid thing. You're just going to probably run this on an A2 all the time. This will get you to 80 slash attack resist pin. Can you still look for more? I think you answer that question in terms of like, would you run a slash attack resist pin vision card on if the units you're running with her need it or not? Could she use that extra 20 to get her to 100? She's not going to hate that, but I think you look at the rest of your team and say, do they need the penetration? If they do, go ahead and tag it on, and that might open you up for using a different weapon, but this one seems really good. Maybe the ice attack greatsword like Orin's could be an option. I don't know. This seems pretty dang good for her. Now, lastly, the vision card. So Escape Soldier A2. We're going to look at this, then we're also going to look at the rest of the greatsword vision cards here in this video. But let's start by just seeing what this thing is. First of all, the stat line: HP, AP, attack, and agility. Really, really good. I highlighted the whole dang page. Really, really good stat line right there. I did it again. Apparently highlighting stuff on a web page is hard to do. Some things are easy, some things are hard, and that's hard, I suppose. Anyway, 3 agility, I love that. The attack's good, the AP's nice, and the HP's fine. The unit effect is attack and HP. You're never going to cry about that. Then the group effect. Slash attack 42. Okay, really good for a greatsword team. Pierce resist 16, particularly good for A2. Again, stacking more pierce resist. And AoE resist 20. There's the big one. Now, on guild maps, when you max this thing out, you can get elemental chain resist 18. That's fine. And then if we go back to the client right here, and we go look at the card, you will see that in guild battle, if you vision mastery this thing, you get ice attack +2, critical evasion +3. Again, not game-changing amount of stats right here, but over the next 10 years, if this game's out and you stack all these vision master abilities, you might have something to write home about. Now, let's compare this real quick to the rest of the job-based vision cards for greatsword teams. Here on the screen, you can see like it's over here on the screen for me, but over here on my recording window, I'll try to just look at the recording window to make my face not as awkward. Here you see the rest of the greatsword cards and the rest of the greatsword units right down here. My thing with this is you're getting slash attack, pierce resist, AoE resist. Do you need this card? Well, it has AoE resist as one of the 3 main stats, but there are other AoE resist cards in the game. One of them was free with the last raid. You can see that right here. It has HP, attack, and AoE resist on it. Those are very, very good stats, but this is an MR card, so they're not as robust of stats as if you were to get them from a UR card. Your other AoE resist card is right here, but this is a magic-based card. The only way you would ever run this in a greatsword group is if you were throwing it on like a Rain or somebody like that, because you'd hate to waste this magic stat. However, 60% magic would be really nice for Rain, but really bad for every other greatsword unit. The 16 crit evade is nice, and then the 20 AoE resist. So I do think as an AoE resist card, let's go back to greatswords here, this thing has a place. It's the best AoE resist card for a physical unit to carry. So check the box. I think if you're trying to build greatsword teams and you're looking, is this card good? It is. It's worth pulling for sure, I think, if that's your case. But what do you run it with? Well, you're going to want agility for sure, right? So your agility options are the Christmas card right here with HP and agility on it, but there's 2 more. Your other agility options are right here. Agility, crit rate, magic resist, more magic resist. That's a really interesting thing to think about stacking with an A2 team. And then your other agility card is chain resist, magic man killer, and agility. Once again, this is a magic-based card. Rain, like look, here's Rain. He's a magic-based unit right down here at the bottom. So if you're trying to run Rain, this could be an option for your team and it will cover your agility. But the rest of this buff is Elemental Chain Resist, Magic Human Killer, which is only going to be good for Rain, and then the agility. So it is an option, and you can see how if you're trying to work a tank in here, you're not going to be stuck to just Joom. But let's say you're not trying to work Rain in. Let's say you just want to work this card in with the rest of the big 3. If you're trying to do that, I think you're going to have to look for like Odin for single target resist, and at least with A2 being an ice unit, she will pick up the accuracy from Odin combined with her increased accuracy move. I think that's a decent single target resist option for a job type that has no single target resist card in it. Otherwise, you could look for, if you need slash pin, there's this card up here with dark resist, physical man killer, and slash pin. I think this is very interesting for an A2 team, especially if you're hunting mages. There's a lot of Vivi out there. There's a lot of Roth out there in mage teams. This dark resist will help. Physical human killer is going to help a lot. And then slash resist pin. This puts her over the 100 mark, which like, hooray, she doesn't need that much, but you never know. You might be running her with some other units that really do need that. And so it's something to consider. Let's see what else here. I think that's a good option. Mix in one of the agility cards. Obviously there's this other physical man killer card if you want to go that way, if you weren't going here. That's really about it. I think if you don't pull this and you have budget this card, the MR version, I don't know, maybe you're short on Visior and you just don't feel like you want to pull A2 the Deserter Vision card. If you have this, you can get away with that for greatsword teams, I think, because this is a really solid MR card. AoE resist, HP, and attack. Yeah, you're feeling pretty good about that right there, even as a sub-slot option. So there we go. That's kind of the vision card breakdown. That's the A2 and her new vision card breakdown. Good luck if you're pulling. I will definitely be live on Wednesday. I will definitely be pulling for these things. Really looking forward to it, and really looking forward to making some great sword teams. You know, the mage teams and the sword knight teams, been playing those a lot for a couple months now. Nice to move into something else. I'm also interested, by the way, and this is a gun card. Like, let's not forget, this card also works its way into gun, and it has very interesting synergy with gun because you have unit resist, reaction, agility card here. Now you have AoE resist, slash attack, pierce resist. Now the slash attack's wasted on a gun team, but with this 2-card combo right here, your gun squad has unit resist, agility, and AoE resist all covered, opening up any other card you want, which I think is interesting. So very important card for that job-based team as well. Anyway, I'm out. Have a good one, everybody. I'll catch you next time. Peace.